Welcome to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast, bringing you the latest updates from the world of sports, gambling, and pop culture. Because you can't have a show without hot takes or a Tiger King meme these days. Know what I'm saying? Now, with over 200 episodes and ready to get after it again, here's your host, Dwayne Callender.
Hello and Merry Christmas, everyone. We have plenty to talk about, but this episode I'm uploading quickly is for the NBA only. I'll be recording an NFL show a little bit later today, but just to kind of give you guys a walkthrough, we have obviously Christmas Day. It's the NBA's showcase piece. Usually the NFL is actually taking stage as well today, which should make things interesting from a rating standpoint. But, yeah, so 5 games left for NBA, running all day. So, realistically, I would say if you're not paying attention to the news throughout the day, obviously we got COVID protocols and whatnot. And obviously with it, just, not knowing what the lineups are going to be throughout the day, you have to be staying tuned. So if you're not staying tuned to lineups, I would say you can stack this first game with the Knicks and Nets. I mean, between the Knicks and Atlanta, and don't even wait until you get to the Nets game later on at 8:00. So to me, the way that I would say to play this is either fade the early games and just build your lineups for 5:00 and later, or just stack early and kind of go from there. But I would not kind of piecemeal lineups together. I think you're going to miss out on too much if you try to piecemeal it all at one time, because you're not going to fit all the pieces all at once. So to me, it's this first game. I don't like the second game as much with Milwaukee, just because Giannis is back in the lineup, it seems. Looks like the confirmation is Giannis is back. So with Giannis being back, the prices are way too high on the Milwaukee guys. Middleton and Drew Holiday. So not big on the Bucks, but that's the 2:00 window. This first game with the Knicks and Atlanta, I mean, the Knicks are still piecing together bodies as we speak. So not going crazy today about not going crazy about who to play in this game. Just play pretty much the bodies that are there, because both teams are so depleted at this point, it doesn't even matter. So Kemba Walker, we're riding the 40-point game the other night. He's going to be plenty popular, but honestly, the Knicks don't have the body, so he should be starting today. You got RJ Barrett back. You got Julius Randle. Not nearly as high on those guys. I like the Atlanta pieces. So DeLon Wright, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Clint Capella, all in play for me today. I definitely like those pieces. With Capella back, I'm not even remotely interested in Georgie Dang or Okongwu, although it looks like Okongwu might be out for COVID protocols. I don't know for sure. It looked like that was what I had seen, but like I said, the news is always fluid on a slate like this, so don't go crazy with lineups, because if you're not staying on top of the news, it's just a waste of time and effort. I would just say play low dollar stakes. Yahoo has a great contest where for $1, you're guaranteed to make $2. So I would play on Yahoo today if you're not even gonna bother playing that hard on the slate. To me, it's not that big of a deal. In my opinion, I would not go too crazy over some of these lineups. So, that's where I would start off with this first game. You can play 4 or 5 pieces from this first game and then backload to the later slates, or you can fade the first 2 games. To me, in this 2:30 window, the only guy I'd be interested in playing would be actually 2 guys. I would say Giannis or Jason Tatum, but they're both pricey. So to me, that's one where, from a construction standpoint, you could have them as your placeholder for the expensive guy, and then load up on cheap guys throughout the day. So to me, if you're playing the 2:30 window, you're probably better off just playing the 12 o'clock because you know exactly which cheap pieces to fit in rather than trying to fit them in post mortem. I just don't like locking up the expensive guy in early, especially when we know LeBron is playing later tonight. And to me, I'll just say point blank, LeBron playing the Nets in prime time, I would very much favor just taking LeBron there. I just don't see any point in not playing LeBron against the Nets with no KD. To me, this screams a matchup that the Lakers should be able to put up a lot of points. And on the flip side, James Harden is going to light up this Lakers team that plays no defense. So the Lakers are struggling. LeBron's going to try to put in a big performance in prime time at 8 o'clock. So to me, Harden, LeBron, Westbrook, Taylor Horton Tucker, Carmelo, Wayne Ellington on the Lakers. And then on the net side, you got Nicholas Claxton, Bruce Brown, James Johnson. All those guys are in play. Like, there are so many dudes that are out for both teams, but if you wait till the 8 o'clock one, I'm telling you, there's going to be plays to be had. And I know I skipped over the 5 o'clock game with the Warriors and the Suns. The only issue I have with the Warriors-Suns game at 5 is that the Suns just play at such a slow tempo. It makes it a very tough play for me to just pay up for the Warriors because it just feels like a trap play. It just feels like that game's going to play out a lot slower. So, yeah, you could play Steph, you could play Devin Booker, you could play Draymond, you could play Ayton. Like, they're the two best teams in the league. Don't get me wrong. They're the two best teams in the league right now. But the way they play, I could see that being a lot of pick and roll. And, it could be a funnel to both Chris Paul and Steph Curry. So don't get me wrong to say that they're bad plays. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I have a very limited window of guys I would even choose from in that game, and it's going to be very clustered. So to me, those would be, again, one of those placeholder games where I'm not playing a lot of guys from that. I'm just playing one or two. So I treat it kind of the same as I would with the Bucks game, where I'm just picking and choosing little pieces here and there, not going too crazy. And if you're really adventurous and you're hanging out past the NFL games and everything else that goes on, you can play for the nightcap hammer with the Jazz versus Dallas, because no Luka Doncic for the Mavericks. So you would think it's a Kristaps Porzingis game, but we don't know if Porzingis is going to play tonight. We don't know if Kristaps is going to get clear. So to me, Jalen Brunson is a lock play if you want to wait that long. If you don't want to play Harden, you don't want to play some of these other guard pieces, you can wait for Jalen Brunson because he's pretty much a lock for having a very high floor, because without Luka in there, he's going to be the primary ball handler and facilitating the offense. Now, on the flip side, you kind of want Rudy Gobert if Porzingis is in, because Gobert usually plays better when he's up against an offensive center, because it makes him want to be a little bit more aggressive with his offense, because he's not necessarily looking to shot block as much when it's a defensive center. When it's an offensive guy and he keeps him on his toes, Gobert usually tries to get out in transition a little bit more than usual. So I actually like Gobert if Porzingis is in, but if Porzingis is out, I'm not touching Gobert. But that's the problem. You have to wait till the last. You have to wait like a number of hours to get there. So to me, for a decision point, I'm probably only going to hold one or two lineups out to backload that particular game, and so I'm going to have the lowest exposure. But to me, the biggest opportunity for folks, and this is why kind of being patient with your lineups throughout the day makes sense, is if you hold out for that late game, you have an opportunity. If you just play the 8 o'clock games on, so you play the Lakers Nets and then you play this 10:30 game, you could put yourself in a really good spot. I'm just saying, in terms of strategy wise, that's one way I'll probably play some lineups, is just backload the last two games of the day and leave some of these others alone. But I'll be playing some of the Knicks as well in lineups today. So Don't get me wrong, but I feel like in terms of the way I'm approaching the slate, I'm playing the first game, skipping the next two by and large, in terms of exposure, and then the last two I'll have more exposure on the Nets-Lakers game, but I'll have some exposure to the Jazz game, even more so than the second and third game, just because I think there's the opportunity is there more, in my opinion, with the Jazz Mavericks game as opposed to what we got with Boston and Milwaukee or Warriors Suns. So those are my takes. I'm gonna get this uploaded. Like I said, guys, this is more of a game theory roster construction kind of slate in terms of plays. So to me, guys, to kind of keep your eyes out for Kemba Walker, John Collins, Clint Capella in the first game. Obviously, we talked about LeBron. We talked about Nicholas Claxton. You want to at least keep some of these names in mind as you go throughout the day. James Harden, obviously, because it's going to shift depending on the availability. If like someone else gets ruled out because of protocols, then obviously the minutes are going to shift. So, we're just not going to be able to update. I'm not going to be able to update throughout the day on the fly for the podcast, but just keep an open mind about your roster construction, how you want to build out your lineups today. And like I said, if you're not following closely throughout the day and checking your lineups, just play light. There's no need to go crazy over the slate and some of the contests, even though there's some nice pots there. We got Millie Maker on DraftKings that still isn't full yet, so I'll be throwing in some lineups there, but best of luck to everyone today. Enjoy the holidays. We'll have the NFL show up later today. So enjoy the festivities and the game. So best of luck for now. And until next time, which will be very shortly, take it easy.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all other major outlets.